This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, your solution when you need a virtual server in the cloud. Use the code MacVoices2019 to take $20 off your first purchase at linode.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. And folks, this is going to be so much fun. This is holiday gift guide number 2 with some of my best friends and some long-standing gift guide veterans, I guess we should say. So let's get to it. But first, just the rules. And if you've watched our holiday gift guides before, you know that we don't do repeats, either from prior panels or here. So if somebody picks something earlier in the rounds, then they can't. Nobody else can pick that. And the first gift guide, we had a record number of steals. So we'll see what happens in this one. And that was the first gift guide. So we'll see what happens here. Joining us this time, in no particular order, I'm just going to go around the horn, Ms. Jean MacDonald. Jean, welcome. It's great to have you, as always.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to talk about gifts again this year.
Yes, it wouldn't be the holidays without you, Jean. Also, Mr. Joe Kissell, or should I say Dr. Joe Kissell. Joe was prescribing medications before we started.
I was practicing medicine without a license, although it'll be a long time before I get it right.
Yeah, well, you could have saved me the charge at the doctor's office if I'd just gotten to talk to you a little
I was just telling Chuck what my doctor told me, and it happened to be the same thing that his doctor told him. So,
Yeah, so the medical profession scores again.
Yeah.
Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Jeff Gamet is back. Jeff, welcome.
It's great to be here, and I have not been practicing medicine lately. Maybe I should get back into that. they say practice makes perfect, right?
Get back into that, Jeff? Is there something about your past we don't know?
Nothing.
I think there's a lot that we don't know.
Yeah. Probably true, Gene. Probably things we don't want to know.
Yes.
Oh, let me think.
Confession?
Wow. Nope.
All right, we'll come back to that later.
Okay.
So, round 1. Folks, we're going to try for 4 rounds. We'll try to keep this to about an hour. If we come in under that, great. And if we go over it, well, just forgive us because we're having too much fun. Jean, take us out for guide 2 number round 1.
Okay. I have a pick of a pretty traditional conventional pick this time, an Apple product, which I would give as a gift to a relative who needs to get rid of their terrible laptop computer or whatever they have. Get them the new Apple iPad, the latest model, the one that starts at $329. I just think that's an amazing price for what you get, which is a really nice iPad that can use the smart keyboard and the pencil if somebody would want that, but they can also just use the iPad as is. And I mention it because I gave my father an iPad as a present a couple of years ago. And that was just the best thing ever, because from that moment on, technical support questions just went away. So he had some kind of Windows laptop prior to that. And all he does is email and web surfing. And, it has his photos now. He does all this stuff with the iPad, but he just uses it totally, independently. And so I think it's a present to yourself to give somebody, maybe that doesn't really need a computer. They don't need a pickup truck. They just need a nice, safe Volvo. Maybe a late, early model Volvo that will work perfectly to get you from point A to point B.
That's a great pick, and I think that's such a great point because I'm hearing more and more folks say this, that they are giving parents or grandparents or whatever iPads because there is virtually nothing they can do to them. It's a lockdown system. So other than just throw them on the floor and jump up and down on them, like you said, a lot of the tech support problems and issues go away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it turned him into an iPhone user after that. And next thing I knew, he was getting an iPhone. And then, the rest is history.
As an Apple stockholder, thank you for converting yet somebody else and then having them buy multiple products. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Joe, what do you have for round one?
Well, a few years ago, I was at a conference and I saw a guy walking around with a thing. And I looked at the thing and I'm like, I have to have that thing. So I went up to the guy and I said, where did you get that thing? And does it come in purple? And he said, oh, I found it on Amazon. And yes, it does come in purple. So this was the thing. I don't know how well you can see it at this level of zoom, but it has a magnetic thingy on it. So I can just pop it off and hold it up to the camera. So it's a LED name badge, and it's programmable. So I can make it say whatever I want. You can put graphics, animations, anything you want on it. And this cost me like $15. Now, I have like my name and my Twitter handle on it at the moment, but you can like push a button on the back and switch to different things. So I'm like, this is fantastic. Like I really like name tags a lot. And so I had to have one of these, and it took a little bit of searching to find the purple one. Amazon didn't have the purple one. Another company had the purple one. So I bought it, and of course it came with Windows-only software, and the Windows-only software was delivered on one of those tiny little CDs. So I'm like, oh,
no,
thanks. It took me quite a bit of searching and trial and error to find the Windows software in a downloadable form, and I put the Windows software on a virtual machine in parallels, running Windows 10, and I hooked up the USB cable and like it worked. Like it was cumbersome, but I was able to program it on my Mac using a Windows virtual machine, and I got it working. Now that was a couple of years ago. Nowadays they have Bluetooth models, and the Bluetooth models you can program with an iOS app or an Android app. So if I were going to buy one of these today, I would get a slightly more expensive Bluetooth model. The only problem is I haven't seen any of the Bluetooth ones in purple. You can get red, green, blue. You can get one with like sort of bands of different colors across it. I haven't seen any in purple, but this is the kind of thing, like I can't tell you a brand name because these are like generic. There are like dozens of variations on this made by random Chinese manufacturers. I'll give you links. Don't worry, I'll give you links. But it's not that this is the XYZ brand thing. It's just like it's a generic programmable LED name badge. But if you want one and you can tolerate it being red, green, or blue, you can get one that's programmable by Bluetooth with an iOS app. And if you can't tolerate that, then there are ways of programming it on a Mac, but it's a little bit cumbersome. Now the problem, of course, is I couldn't find both the purple display and the Bluetooth in a single unit. So if I cared enough, and I'm not sure that I do, I would buy a second one. I buy a Bluetooth one and swap the displays. But that might require something that I will talk about in the next round.
Okay. Ooh, little tease.
Yeah.
I like that, Joe. I like that. It's attention getting, but I love the idea that it's programmable so that you can put pretty much any message. You can put any message on there you want. But I did want to ask you. You said animations. What kind of animations does it support?
Well, like right now, it's got the little wipe thing and the scrolling thing. I mean, it's just an LED matrix. So depending on your what software you get to program it and your skills, I mean, you can just like draw graphics, and this is frame 1, and this is frame 2, and this is frame 3, and just, it's just a simple animation. So it's not like, I mean, it's pretty low tech, honestly, but because it's just a grid of LEDs that you can program however you want, you can do all kinds of stuff with it.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. Affordable, techie.
Yeah.
And purple.
Yeah. Well,
and purple.
Your mileage may vary on the color, but and I like, anyway. But yes, but it's attention getting, and it's appropriate for someone of my weird disposition. So.
Got it. Good job. Jeff, get out of the gate in round 1. What do you got?
Wow, both tough acts to follow. So we'll see how this compares. All right. So my first pick is the Sphero Mini Activity Kit, and so it's a kit that has one of the smaller. It's like a tennis ball size Sphero robot ball, and then it has several accessories with it. So you have everything you need, so you can build mazes and little mini paths and different things that you can program your Sphero to navigate. And the kit is $79.99. Although I didn't check Amazon, I bet it's cheaper there. That's just on the Sphero website. And it's something that they are marketing primarily at kids and students. But I think this is a cool option for adults too. Adults that are interested in learning more about robotics and programming, because it has everything you need to get started, plus a little bit extra, so that you're not stuck thinking, well, I've got this robot, now do I program it to do? So you can set up your little mazes and stuff and start working there, and then figure out other things you want to do with it. So I like it as a really good starting point for kids and adults interested in robotics.
I like it. So it can be part toy and part educational programming thing.
Right. And to me, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. Now, is that a Star Wars theme one, or is this something a little different?
This is just one of the standard Spheros. So it is a ball like the BB-8 is, but this is clear, so you can actually see what's inside. And it does have LEDs mounted around its body on the inside, so you can make it light up, and you can do animated light patterns with it if you want. I suppose I should throw out a bonus to go with this, because it does come with its own software. But I would recommend, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, downloading an app called Tickle, which is a horribly named app, because when you go to look for it on the App Store, you will find a lot of things that have Tickle in the name, and some of them are clearly not for this. But Tickle it's a really cool graphic modular interface for coding a lot of different products, and it adds more programmability or more programming options to Sphero products than Sphero's own apps include.
And you'll give me the URL for the correct Tickle app.
Yes, I will.
Okay, so folks, if you are confused, check the show notes. We'll get it there. All right. Well, I'm going to go a little more practical in round 1. There's nothing worse than having an iPhone and having it go dead on you, especially during the business day. Now, we've talked about some options for conferences where you're maybe using your iPhone heavier than normal, but just during a standard day, you can still burn down your iPhone. And one of my favorite batteries, I seem to have a lot of them, but one of my favorite ones is the travel card. This is a very thin battery. It will charge your phone about once, but it is about the thickness and maybe a little bit heavier than about 2.5 standard credit cards. So as you can see, I mean, it's very thin. You could arguably put it in your wallet and not take up much space, or you can just throw it in your pocket. It doesn't take up a lot of space because it's so flat. It'll lay flat against your leg for the guys in just a standard men's pocket, and you hardly even know it's there. It has a built-in lightning cable, which is also something I love because that way you don't have to be digging around in your pockets and also trying to connect a lightning cable. And it charges by one of these strange little small thin USBs that you may or may not have seen before. And both of those, again, they just fold right into the back of the travel card. The travel card comes in colors. Joe, sorry, I don't think it comes in purple. And I got the red because that way, if I throw it in my backpack, it's a little red on the front, white on the back, so it's easy to find in a dark backpack. It's $29, and it's a great little stocking stuffer, and it's the kind of thing that anybody with an iPhone can use and not take up a lot of room in their pocket or purse or wherever. So, travel card. Anybody else use a travel card, guys?
No, but I relate to I have many batteries that I've tried, and I like them all for some, like I never get rid of them. You never know when you want to be charged up for an impending, weather event. So have more batteries than fewer for sure.
Gene, it's a great little tip as an aside. We've got all these batteries sitting around for whatever your various use cases are. If you have an impending weather event, get them all fully charged, but, or just charge them and then throw them in a drawer. They're probably not going to lose that much, especially if you have an emergency weather event that comes on you unexpectedly. Mm-hmm. So just keep them where you can find them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, guys, that's round one. Some intriguing picks, and Joe's already teased us with his round two. So before we get to that tease, Gene?
Well, since Jeff talked about the Sphero, I feel like I'm going to jump right to my fun toy recommendation, which is the Hasbro Star Wars R2-D2 remote control robot. I just bought this last month for my brother for his birthday, and he was very excited to have it. And I knew that, of course, my nephew would probably get to play with it the most, but still. And anyway, when I bought it, it was like about $30, which was appealing to me. And it had amazing reviews on Amazon, and it definitely lives up to the reviews. So it's programmable too, which I didn't really get to play with on his birthday night when we opened it up. It is a very nice size R2 unit. I would say about a little over a foot tall. So it's not a little bitty thing. And it has the whole library of R2 sounds and little things that he does. It cannot project a hologram, but it can it can definitely give you a lot of fun. You actually control it with an app. So on your iPhone, you download the app for controlling the R2-D2 unit. And so at $30, I thought, it's not something that my brother is going to play with a lot, I don't think, but he will like having it. And he's a remote control, like, buff. Everything remote control he loves. And, so I felt it was like a good choice for a nice present that didn't break the bank. And I did notice in the Amazon reviews, as well as was my own experience, big kids as well as little kids will enjoy having an R2 unit to program and make it do stuff around your house. So that's my pick.
Very nice. Very nice. So there's a robot theme going here.
I almost just bought it, Gene.
You
But I thought, no, wait, the holidays are coming up.
You still have time. Yeah, I know we never talk about it until later, but how much this show ends up costing me to participate in, because there's always something. Anyway.
Yeah, at least. I really think that if Star Wars is remembered in the distant future for nothing else, it has contributed the R2-D2 sounds to the culture. Because that seems to be almost a universal language at this point. I don't know what it means, but it's a universal language.
Right. Yeah, it really is an important part of the character. And as some of the movements that he makes, like this R2, his head can spin around like the R2 on the actual R2 unit. And anyway, yeah, I think especially with the new Star Wars coming out, that's kind of what inspired me to get him a Star Wars present, because we agonized over when we would get our tickets for the release of this next
The Rise of Skywalker.
The Rise of Skywalker. There's so many now, I barely remember their names. But I'm looking forward to it.
Good. Joe, you teased us on your second round pick. Are you going to hold that, or are you going to tell us now?
Let's get, because there are people who program robots, and there are people who use remote control robots, and then there are people who build robots. And if you're going to build a robot, or let's say perform surgery on an LED name tag, you're going to need a soldering iron. Now, any self-respecting geek, of course, has a whole arsenal of soldering irons. This is one of mine. This is a battery-powered soldering iron.
Oh.
So there's a battery pack on here that holds 4 AA's. Now I have alkalines in here right now. It actually works better with nickel metal hydride rechargeables. Those give you more power, but and obviously better from the environment and all that. But it'll work with alkalines, and it'll last 1 to 2 hours of soldering. When you are, I don't know, working on your car, or the power goes out, or you're, in some location where it's inconvenient to drag a power cord, or you're traveling, or whatever. Now, I got this when I was living in France, and the electricity was wrong for my existing soldering iron, and I didn't want to have to buy a new one that I wouldn't be able to bring back with me. So I bought this because AA batteries are AA batteries. You can use those anywhere. And I'm not going to build a whole computer with this or something, but for small, simple soldering jobs, it's just fine. And this is $30, batteries not included. And there's apparently like a special limited edition that got much lower ratings and cost more money, and I don't see what the advantage is. But anyway, $30. It's the Hako FX901 battery-powered soldering iron. So if you or a loved one needs to solder stuff, and I mean, who doesn't? This is almost stocking stuffer size.
That's a great idea.
I love the fact that you recommended something that has the brand name Hako. I just
that is just awesome.
It's Hakko. I think it's Korean. I don't know, but anyway.
Okay. I did have one question about your introduction there. Do you find that you frequently need to solder things while the power is out?
It's safer to do it when the power is out.
Okay.
I got nothing. No, I don't. But you never know. Kids' toys break when kids' toys break. So you might want to solder a battery-powered thing when the power is out. Who knows?
I just wondered about the use case, Joe. That was all.
Not everything is going to make perfect sense. You are talking to me, So
yeah, that's true. Jeff, round 2.
Okay. Since There will be so many people watching the show that are Apple fans. I felt like coming to the table with something for Apple fans would be good. So that's what I have. And it's actually a poster, a really nice printed poster from a company called Pop Chart. And it's called The Insanely Great History of Apple. And what they've done is taken every product that Apple has made, and they actually update this periodically. So it is current up through the iPhone 10s and 10R. Does not have the iPhone 11. But it has all of Apple's products up through that in this really nice colored chart, which uses the rainbow Apple colors, showing what year each product was made, and different product types are grouped together. So you'll have narrower bands for products where there aren't as many in that category, but also it's adjusting over time. So like the yellow band where a lot of the Macs are, that's really fat for a while, but then it narrows down because the number of models was streamlined over time. But when you look at the light blue stripe, which is the smartphone, and so the mobile device section, it's just this V that goes and just gets much bigger the farther you go through time. So it's a really neat poster, and the edges of the poster, it looks like a System 6 window, which is fun. And it's 24 inches by 36 inches. So it'll fit standard frames, and only $25.
And does it come with little check boxes so you can mark the products that you've owned, Jeff?
Tell you what, if someone really wants the little check boxes, buy the poster, send it to me. I'll put check boxes on it for you and send it back. I have a Sharpie. I can do this.
Yeah, that may not be a good idea, because you'll realize just how much money you've spent on Apple gear over the years.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah. But whenever you see stuff like that, I mean, there is a certain reminiscing that goes on. It's like, yeah, I had that machine. Boy, I really loved that particular laptop model or desktop model or whatever. So,
yeah, and it's a really neat looking poster too.
Good pick. Good pick. Thank you. So I think I want to stick with a power theme here. There are plenty of chargers out there. We just talked about the portable ones, but there are plenty of wall chargers, and some of them will charge your devices faster than others. But that's not good if you're, let's say, sharing a hotel room with someone at a conference, and you both have multiple devices and they all need to be charged overnight. So that's one reason that I carry this Anker USB wall chargers, to 60-watt, 6-port USB charger. So
wow.
That means I have 6 ports. Now, the 60-watt is not the fastest charger in the world by any means, but if you plug it in and go to sleep, this will charge pretty much anything overnight without any trouble at all. So you figure iPad, iPhone, AirPods, and that takes up 3. And then if the other person has the same amount or same things, then they get the other 3. And all your devices are charged the next day. It is a little bulky, and it does have an external power cord, which I'm not holding up, but it plugs in. So it's a little bulkier than some of the nice chargers that will have the prongs that fold down in. But I haven't found any of those that will have 6 ports. So if you carry a lot of devices, or you and your partner carry a lot of devices together, this is a great thing to have to throw in your backpack and make sure that you won't have to do the dance of trying to figure out, okay, what do I plug in where, and how long is it charged before I have to move it over to the next device. And it's only $29.95, so it's very affordable for, again, the convenience of it. So And I unfortunately, because I often travel with multiple iPads, I can get 4 or 5 out of this, easily. So Linode.com/MacVoices is where you want to go if you need a virtual hosted cloud server. Why is Linode so great? Because that's what Linode specializes in. They feature native SSD storage, a 40 gigabit network, and industry-leading processors so that your server is fast fast. Because you pay for only what you use, with hourly billing across all plans and add-on services. No extra charges for data transfer, no hidden fees or nasty surprises at the end of the month. Because Linode has a new cloud manager with an improved user interface, so deploying your server or servers is easier than ever. Because Linode has data centers around the world, including one just launched in Toronto and one opening soon in Mumbai. So if location matters, Linode has it covered. Because they have a large documentation library to help you get started and help you make the most of your server. Because Linode has 24/7 live customer support, so if you get stuck or have issues, help is just a phone call away. Because Linode has a ton of add-ons, so that you can customize your server with exactly what you want and what you need. Backups, blocks, node balancers, load balancers, and much more. So what do you need to take advantage of all this? Visit linode.com/MacVoices to get set up and to get $20 credit towards your first server. Again, linode.com/MacVoices gets you $20 off your first server. Check it out now and be up and running in minutes. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. All right, so that means we're at the halfway point. So now everybody may or may not be scrambling with their lists. I'm not sure. Jean, take us into round 3.
Well, I feel like I don't want to jump off of themes. You're talking about power. I do have a thing on my list that is power related, and this is something that was mentioned last year, not by me, and I bought it. And I have to say, I was so happy with it. It's the Anker PowerCore Fusion 5000, which is, we've had a lot of Anker products, I know, in the previous show and already in this one. This is I should have brought it to show you, but I didn't. It is a charger. It plugs into the wall. It does have the prongs that fold in, and it can do 2 USB items at one time, but it also charges itself. And so it's not just a conduit to power, it becomes a battery itself, but a battery that you kind of are always having plugged in, most of the time. So that what I realized with it, and this is why I liked it so much, is like, especially traveling again, like your use case, how you will be in a hotel and wherever they have the plugs is the stupidest place ever. And what are you going to do? No matter how long your cord is, it's either not going to reach and you end up plugging something in the bathroom and you just say, oh, well, I won't be using it until the morning or whatever. But what I can do with this charger is just use the power off of it until the morning. I don't stay up all night, but say I'm using my iPad I can just, even though there's no plug nearby, I've got power. And then in the morning, I just plug the thing, in whatever inconvenient place the power actually is. And it charges up, by the end of the day. And so I have been really happy with that thing. It's, and let's see, how much is it? I think it's also like, it's $26. And it was Frederick Van Johnson, who was that his name, the photo guy. He recommended it, and I thought, I'm always looking for new battery things, and I didn't have anything like that. So I highly recommend it. It just makes power way more flexible. It's also nice, like when I was traveling this summer in Europe, I would plug that thing in and charge it up, and then I would use the power with my stuff. And when for moments where I felt like, well, I don't really want to plug this expensive electronic thing into this electricity that I'm not 100% confident about. So I can run my stuff off of that and then to charge the little power brick up easily the next day. And so anyway, that's my power pick.
Yeah, I remember that discussion, Gene, and it seems like such an obvious idea, and yet I don't know that anybody else has done it. And I did not partake of this one yet.
Yeah. I mean, it only has the 2 USB plus 1 micro USB port, but it is a fast charger, though. I mean, and it definitely charges things up fast. I'd have to look at the specs. And it, like I said, it's mostly that you have that moment where it's like, whoa, because of course we have other power sources, battery packs that we charge up, and that's great. But this thing, I use it as my wall, port for the for stuff. So I don't have to think about charging it up. It's always charged, and that it's just been really convenient to have that as an option in addition to the other things that I have.
Right. And again, it's an Anker product. I mean, they always seem to show up a lot in the gift guides, and it's because they're just great stuff and at really good prices. So
yeah,
good pick. Joe, you going to stick with the power theme for round 2, or are you going to go off?
I'm going to go off the board here.
Okay.
Now, I tend to like kind of inexpensive but useful stocking stuffers. This next product is not inexpensive, and it's not a stocking stuffer. You have to really love the person you're buying this for a lot, or if you're buying it for yourself, you have to love yourself a lot. I bought this for myself. This is so all right. So we're doing this video thing here, okay? And I do a lot of video stuff, presentations and interviews and chats. And I often find myself, just however much I try, and I try to remember and train myself to look at the camera, not look at the pictures of the people that are, down there. I know that what other people see is me looking down here, and I want for people to see me looking them in the eye, but the camera is above the display. And sometimes I'm not doing just like free-form interviews. Sometimes I'm doing scripted video. I'm gonna tell you about a thing, and I'm gonna be the talking head, and I'm not going to probably memorize 20 minutes worth of monologue. I would really want to read it, but I don't want to be like reading down here while the camera's up here. So this is basically a teleprompter. So what we have here is an apparatus called ProPrompter Desktop. As teleprompters go, this is dirt cheap at $500. Most teleprompter hardware, even if you supply your own whatever, your own screen, your own iPad, your own display of whatever kind, usually they're much, much more expensive. This is dirt cheap. And it's also tiny as teleprompters go, but it's made to sit, 16 inches from your nose. You stick this there. So there's a little adjustable hinge thingy here so that you can clip this on top of any display, a laptop, a desktop, a standalone display, whatever. It's highly adjustable. It'll sit on top of anything. And everything about this is adjustable. This goes up and down. These flip in and out. You can actually fold this flat and put it in a nice little pouch for travel. You want to be careful, though, because it is glass. And there's this hood on top. So if you want to use it with like a real camera, a DSLR or something, you just mount that on a tripod behind your display and, put the little hood over it. It's no problem. So whether your camera is built into your display, like on an iMac or a MacBook Pro, or whether it's sitting on top like a Logitech webcam, or it's sitting behind on a tripod. This will work with anything. So you put this apparatus on your display, and there's a mirror down here and a partially reflective glass up here. So you just position the top thing, the semi-transparent part behind your camera or in front of your camera. You put your camera behind it, and then you put this open part down here in front of the window that has the other party on it, or the text of what you're reading. You can have like a teleprompter app that scrolls the text of what you're supposed to be reading, and it's just like you're reading the news on a news broadcast. Anyway, the effect is that your line of vision goes straight to the camera, but so the other people don't see that. They just see you're looking right at them. But what you are seeing is either the other party, their eyes, or whatever text you are reading off as a teleprompter. So I've used this both for scripted videos and for video conferencing, just to make it like more personal, like I'm really looking at you. I'm not looking at the picture of you down there, so we're not making eye contact. Now, I mean, it's $500. So you have to either do a lot of video or just really, really care about that whole eye contact thing to go to the bother. But if you are such a person, and I'm such a person, and you have $500 and I don't anymore, then you can buy a Pro Prompter desktop and solve those problems.
You said a mouthful when you said that's dirt cheap as teleprompters go. I still can't figure out. I guess it's the glass, but they are ridiculously expensive, and $500 is not bad at all for what looks like the versatility of that model.
Yeah, I mean, most teleprompters, because like if you watch a TV show where the news anchor or the talk show host or whatever is reading off teleprompter, so they'll pan so you can see what they're seeing. They're big because they're positioned 20 feet away, and the person has to be able to read them. And so the big commercial ones are quite large, and even ones that are made for handheld video cameras are going to have like an iPad or an iPad-sized screen on them. And so I do think part of what you're paying for is just not only the glass, but also the engineering to keep the glass from breaking. I mean, the first one of these I bought, it came with broken glass, and so I had to send it back and get a replacement. That luckily that was no problem. It worked out fine. But it is pretty, you have to get exactly the right kind of semi-transparent glass, and there is some engineering involved. And that's not even counting the electronics to actually display whatever you're putting on it, and the camera, that's all extra. So it is a niche thing. But I think all of us have done a lot of video, and we certainly know people who do more video than we do. And if you want to make your video either that much more personal or that much more professional, this is a way to do it.
Great pick. I would say that, of course, because I do video, but yeah, I love that. I've got to look into that.
Now, I will just say, because the top window that the camera is looking through is mostly transparent, but it is going to reduce the amount of light that gets to the camera a little bit. So for me, that means I have lights up here, and I would just turn up the intensity of them to compensate. But you do want to make sure you are in a well-lit place if you're going to use this, because it'll make everything a little bit dimmer.
Yeah, good caveat. Thank you. Good pick. Wow. Jeff, are you going big or going small or somewhere in the middle?
Let's go in the middle. And Joe, you gave me a great setup, so I can say I'm going to loop this back to the beginning and go with Joe's theme. His programmable LED name tag is really cool, and just seriously, by coincidence, I have something that falls in that same category. And this is the Pixel kit from Kano. And the Kano, you spell it Kano. And they're known for making products that like electronic devices that you build and then program, but they're designed to be very educational and something that kids can easily build. So you get all of the components and everything plugs together. And the instructions include a description of what it is you're plugging together and why. So with the Kano kit, the Kano Pixel kit, when you put it together, you have this grid of LED, and each LED is multicolor. So now you can program this to be, say, a much bigger name badge if you wanted, because it's about like that big. Or you can program it to do other animations. You can program it so that it pulses with light to sound. So you could use it, say, if you're listening to music. And since it's programmable, yes, there's a lot more you can do with it. This kit costs $79.99, but I checked just a minute ago on Amazon to see what they're selling it for. Kano is selling it themselves on Amazon for $29.99. So if you're going to buy this, don't buy it directly through the Kano website. Buy it through Amazon, so you spend $30 instead of $80. And it's a pretty sweet deal. So it comes with everything you need to use it. It has its own battery, so it's portable, and the software to program it is available for Mac and Windows. So you don't have to worry about jumping through hoops like Joe had to do to program his name tag.
So Joe could have a big name tag the size of his chest, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so instead of a name tag that says Joe, he can have a name tag that says Joe.
That's much better. I like that.
But the all-important question, Jeff, does it come in purple?
Yes. It does support purple. Now, the case itself is clear, so you can look inside and see the electronic components. But the LEDs do support a really nice color spectrum. So, yes, purple, absolutely.
Joe will be back later after he finishes ordering.
Excuse me while
Yeah. What did you say, Gene, about this show costing us money?
Well, I'm like, ooh, that looks really cool. And I'm always looking for smart gifts that are fun. Ages 6+. That covers us.
Maybe. Well, I'm going to go big on my pick. This is something that I'm going to take Joe's comments. You better love somebody a lot or love yourself a lot if you're going to buy this. But I'm going to recommend the new Apple MacBook Pro 16-inch.
I wondered if somebody would pick that.
Yeah, well, I haven't put my order in yet because there are a couple questions I want to have answered. But this looks like the laptop that a lot of us have been waiting for. And just to run down a couple of the key factors that are in my thinking. First of all, I have not had any trouble with the old keyboards. I know Jeff has had some. I know a lot of people have had problems. I haven't, but it'll be nice still to get back to that different keyboard, and that can be a deciding factor. But the fact that you can take and upgrade this particular model to 64 gigs of RAM, you can pack it with 8 terabytes of of storage. You have a couple different models, speeds that you can purchase at. It starts at $23.99. And of course, if you spec it out the whole way to the very top end, it's a little over $6,000. So you may not want to go quite that high. But if you have the business need for this, you actually now can get something comparable to an iMac Pro, not exactly, but close to it, that is completely portable. And since my MacBook Pro is my main machine, even though I have others, that's my daily driver. This is really, really tempting to me. There's been a bit of discussion about the fact that it has 720p camera and it doesn't support the brand new Wi-Fi standard. I'm not too worried about that because if I'm just doing video conferencing, 720p is probably good enough. In fact, I think Zoom right now only supports 720p if I'm correct on the recordings. Skype, I think will do 1080p. But again, if I really need that good a camera, I'm probably going to use an external anyway. So there's not a downside. As for the Wi-Fi, I'm not really worried about that because we don't have anything out there to connect it to yet anyway. It's just a standard that has not been adopted. So by the time this machine needs to be replaced, they'll probably have upgraded, and then it might be more widespread. But they're going to have to keep the older standards around for a long time because there's so many devices out there. So I really don't see those two criticisms as a detriment to this machine. I'm really excited about it, and it's just a matter of time before one lands, on my desktop because it's the powerful machine that I've wanted for a long, long time. And I feel like there are virtually no compromises, at least not for my use case. So go check it out at apple.com. Spec it the way you want it for what you can afford and what you feel you really need. But I feel like really strongly about the 64 gigs of RAM.
Yeah.
And everybody is stunned.
That sounds expensive, 64 gigs of RAM.
I've already priced out a couple different configurations on the 16-inch MacBook Pro because, of course, I have. And when just for fun, I totally loaded it up and looked at the price tag. I had a moment of silence. And then I thought, okay, let's look at something that would be more realistic for my budget. And still, I spec'd out a machine that has some serious power and storage. And I want to see this machine in action, and then I'll decide if I want to buy one. But it sure looks very appealing. This looks like the Mac I've been waiting for a long time.
I'm not sure I can justify the 8 in fact, I know I can't justify the 8 terabytes of storage, but the fact that you can go from the standard 1 terabyte on the upper end model to 2 for, by Apple standards, a pretty reasonable price differential, makes that a little more palatable. But again, the 64 gigs of RAM, that's I really want that. Joe, what did you have an iMac Pro? What kind of configuration? You have 64 gigs?
I want at the time I bought this, the largest SSD you could get was 4 terabytes, but I couldn't afford it, so I have 2. I would have loved to have more. I mean, I'd love to have 8, but I do use and appreciate the 64 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, and of course, right now, as far as we know, the RAM nor the hard drive, or the SSD, I should say, are user upgradable. So if you're going to do it, you're going to do it and do it right, and then hang on to it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, so that's 3 rounds, guys. I know you've cost me at least a little bit of money along the way. So what are we going to do for round 4? Are we going to have a big finish, Gene?
I don't think this will appeal to the panel here, but I have to bring it up because it was a great little helper for me. And when I was totally laid up after my knee surgery, and I basically could barely get out of bed, and one day, one of my best friends came and stayed with me for a week, taking care of me, which was really lovely. And she was very good about thinking about all the various mobility and disability type tools that I should get, to help me with the things that I couldn't do. And that was that was really interesting. I bought so much stuff on Amazon because it would be, I'd think of something and of course it existed and then it wouldn't be that expensive. I'm like, oh, let me get that. But one day, one of the things that bugged me, so it was summertime and I had a fan running in my room and I couldn't reach the fan. And I thought, I was thinking about people who have Alexa to do stuff for them. I shouldn't have said that word, but anyway, but I've never wanted the smart home. Like I don't want my home to be that smart. I want my home to, I don't want to have things listening to me all the time. That just hasn't really, I get it. And it's certainly, I'm willing to give up certain things to have technological convenience, but I haven't really cottoned on to that kind of smart speaker type thing. But I was saying to my friend, who's also my age, I said, I feel like I wish that we had the clapper. Now, the clapper is a old technology, which probably millennial age people won't recognize. But basically, it was a thing that it was a kind of a outlet you could enhance one of your electrical outlets so that it would hear clapping, like 2 claps, and that would turn the outlet on and off. And I'm like, I kind of want the clapper. So I went on Amazon and I searched on clapper, and this is what came up, the 21st century version of the clapper, which is a remote control outlet wireless light switch for household appliances by Etekcity. And so basically it's an outlet, that you plug it into your outlet and it has remote control capability and it has a little remote control. It's super low tech for, the tech that it is. Like the remote control can operate 3 different appliances. At least, the package that I got came with 3 wireless remotes, switches plus a remote control that could turn them on and off. And there's literally an on button and an off button for each one. But it was perfect because that's all I really needed. I just wanted to turn the damn fan off in the middle of the night. And I couldn't, do it when I was, when I, just couldn't get out of bed for something like that. So I am recommending it. It's kind of a fun gift. I think, for people, if somebody who wants a slightly smarter home, but not that smart, this is a gift for them.
I like that, Jean. I can see a lot of different use cases for something like that, especially if you're not into the whole home automation thing.
So, yeah.
I could use 2 of those in this room right now.
Yeah.
that is so much easier than the solution I had to come up with for a button, because I have probably gone a little too far with my smart home setup.
Uh-huh. You can't help yourself. I know that.
I can't. And even though something like that would work perfect, I have to wear an APAP machine at night when I sleep so that so I don't die.
That's good.
Which means I can't talk to the A lady to tell her to turn off the fan or turn on the fan. So I ended up having to buy an Echo button to program to set beside the bed, so I have something I can push to control the device that the A lady is actually controlling for me.
Wow. Yeah, that's well. I mean, if you're
much more elegant.
And this is only $20, by the way. This for the the set of 3 plus the remote, and it even works down to my basement. So my brother put a fan in my basement, and that was just going all the time. And once I started recording podcasts again, I was like, I want that fan off, but I can't turn it off. I can't go down to the basement. So I asked him to put one of my 3 enhanced outlets, wireless outlets down there, and he did. And so I can't see the fan, but I can turn it off. That's pretty cool. But if you're already integrated into the thing, the Amazon thing or something like it. I could see where this would be like taking a step backwards. But for me, it was just like, well, I'm glad I didn't have to get the clapper.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Joe, are you going to go high tech, low tech, or something completely off the wall to wrap up?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So speaking of objects that use electricity, and I don't know. So I don't know what impression other people have about me. But if I had to guess, based on either like observing me as I walk down the street, or I'm at the Starbucks drinking my, venti frappuccino, or watching me on podcasts, I wouldn't imagine that the very first thing that would come to people's mind is, now there is one super relaxed dude. I don't think that's probably what people think about me. I do have a life that involves some stress. I would love to reduce that stress. And I do some stuff, I exercise and I do Tai Chi. But I've been really interested in doing more sort of conventional meditation to just calm my brain down. And for years, I have been fascinated by the idea of biofeedback. Like you stick some electrodes on your head and you do whatever you're going to do, and the thing will beep or lights will flash, or it's going to tell you how well you're succeeding. Now, I can say, well, I'm feeling really distracted right now, but I can't tell you sort of in more granular terms what's going on with the brain waves. But a machine could tell me. I mean, I already have a machine that tells me my pulse, and, I have another machine in there that tells me my weight. And but I'm interested in knowing sort of in more detail what my brain is up to. And I would love to use some biofeedback as a training tool for meditation. So there's this gadget I've had my eye on for a while. I've never used one. I've never touched one. I don't know if it's any good, but it makes me go, that looks really, really interesting. So it's a headband. It's called Muse. Well, the newest model is Muse 2.
I have one. It's awesome. Please continue.
Oh, well, great. Fantastic. So it looks kind of like headphones, only instead of the strap going over your head, it goes on your forehead. There's electrodes on it, little things that go behind your ears that have the electronics in them, and it's a rechargeable thing, and it has sensors in it. This one has not only brainwave sensors, but also it'll measure your heart rate and your pulse ox, and has a gyroscope and an accelerometer, just like your phone does. So you can do it. To measure other things besides just your brain. I could use it during Tai Chi as I'm moving around, and it can measure other stuff. And of course, it connects to an app on your favorite smart device, and it can give you feedback with your AirPods or some other form of audio feedback, and also it's going to put all the stuff on the screen in an app. So it's $250, and if you want like the subscription to their extra stuff, that's more. And it's like, it's one of those things, like, it's hard for me to make a case that I really, really need it, but I'm really curious about it. And I feel like it could do me some good. And I would love to hear Jeff's impression, since he actually has one.
Sure. Okay. The one that I have is the previous model, so it doesn't have the gyroscope in it. And what I found is that it's actually a very enlightening device, because we're in a world and in professions where our heads are just racing all the time, and we know that. But until you put this thing on your head and try and relax, you don't realize just how fast our brains are going. And I found it to be really helpful at forcing myself to take a little bit of time to just slow down. And it's I mean, the device itself doesn't recharge you, but taking the time to really clear your mind and have a few minutes where you're just in yourself and not in the world that we have to deal with every day, it does in a way kind of recharge you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what I found is that when I'm doing the thing where it uses the nature sounds as the cues, when you get to that perfect state, or the perfect state, that's when the birds start chirping, and it throws me. So I actually had to turn that off so I don't hear the birds. And when I did that, then it was much easier for me to get to the point where I could hit that smooth, chill place that it wants you to be in. But yeah, it's a really cool device, and I got it the same way you did. It was like, well, this looks intriguing, but I don't know. Is this just going to be more bolder, touchy-feely mumbo jumbo? And no, it's actually pretty cool. I like it.
That is really terrific to hear. That endorsement means a lot to me. So now that has gone up on my wish list. So, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Joe, I think that Amazon says that they can have it to you by tomorrow if you have Amazon Prime.
I need to relax right now.
I need to relax now.
Yeah, I'm just looking as if there were like little totals in the bottom of each person's video, and Joe's just went up $250, and
Sorry.
mine is like is like, oh,
Well, there were a lot of things that mentioned that were like $20 or $30. So
yeah.
I think the occasional splurge is okay. Chuck's, the MacBook Pro kind of threw off Chuck's.
Yeah, that threw our bell curve right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize this was a competition, guys.
But maybe his last thing will be like $1. So
not quite, but great idea, Joe. And I didn't realize this was going to be a tag team pick with Joe and Jeff. It was interesting the way it worked out.
Oh,
yeah. Jeff, last round, last pick.
Okay. Well, I'll bring the bell curve back down a little bit with this. And since this seems to be the thing for me tonight, I'm going to run with Joe's theme of relaxing. And it's a book, and it's a book that list price is $16.95, but on Amazon it's $9.99, and it's called Shake, Stir, Sip, and it's a book that has 50 easy to make cocktails. So if you're looking for a book that tells you how to make a wide range of drinks because you're just not sure how to do it, this is a fantastic book. And every recipe is easy. Some of them are as simple as 2 ingredients. And it's just a wonderful little book. Shake, Stir, Sip, more than 50 effortless cocktails made in equal parts.
Have you tried all 50, Jeff?
Not yet, but the night is young.
I have to ask, do they focus on any particular kind of liquor, or is it just kind of whatever happens to be in your cabinet?
It's great because it's a wide mix of drinks. So it's not like it's a book to buy if all you have in the house is, say, whiskey or vodka. It has a lot of different drinks. So if you have, say, a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of gin, and a bottle of vodka, some bitter, some simple syrup, and a few other things handy, you have what you need to make a nice mix of drinks.
Interesting idea. Very nice. Very nice. And so in character.
I know.
Yeah. All right. So nobody laugh at my last pick, all right, until I'm finished. And then you can laugh if you want. But my last pick is this. This is a selfie stick. Now, a selfie stick is useful for a lot of reasons, not just for selfies, but also to get maybe angles for photos that you can't normally get. This particular selfie stick comes with a Bluetooth remote. It snaps on. It's real small, and of course you pair that with the Bluetooth with your phone, so you can trigger the shutter. 45 inches long, so it gives you a pretty nice reach. But the killer thing about this, and you can see how small it collapses down, is that it has legs. So this is basically a selfie stick tripod for your iPhone. Now, I'm quick to tell you, the iPhone is the only thing that fits in here, not your iPad, your iPhone. But it is so small that you can put this in your backpack. You don't even know it's there. In fact, when I went to pull it out while someone else was doing their pick, I literally could not find it because it is so small in my backpack that I had to dig around and I finally found it. It's only $15.99. I'm sorry, I do not know how to pronounce the manufacturer, EOCEAN. So I'm going to guess that maybe the E is silent and it's ocean or something of that kind. And I'll have links in the show notes, obviously. But I was looking for something. A situation recently arose where we really needed to take a group shot. There's no way that anybody's arm was long enough. And I did have one of the little jelly small tripods, but we had to build, using chairs and boxes and everything, something to get it to the right height. And I really regretted not having something like this. So I went looking, found this. Now this has a permanent place in my backpack so that when those situations come up when you really need a tripod, but you don't need anything super elaborate, you're just doing something quick, this will absolutely handle it. So again, it's a selfie stick with tripod legs, 45 inches long. Can't beat it.
Nice.
Not laughing.
No?
Yeah. Well, since you say selfie stick,
much to my surprise, I am not laughing.
Yeah.
The tripod part, that's just awesome.
Well, that was the reason, Jeff. Selfie sticks are a dime a dozen, but
right.
With legs, no, and you can't really find them. So that's why it was it's now one of my favorite pieces of gear in my backpack to pull out. And people say, well, how are we going to do this? Man, I can do it now. And I really don't even need the Bluetooth remote because I can trigger my iPhone with my watch. So you don't even have to go through that exercise if you don't want to. So that's 4 rounds, guys, and that's as usual. You didn't disappoint me. That's 4 sets of great picks. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you didn't break the bank. Yeah, Joe, is your name tag still running? Good. Okay.
Oh yeah, sorry.
so we know who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So I want to make sure we go around the room and let folks know where they can find you and follow you and see what else you're up to and communicate with you about your picks if they wish to. Jean, what's the best place for people to reach out and find you?
Well, the easiest thing is I am MacGenie, MacGenie on Twitter and on micro.blog. And I always, get messages there. So that's fine. And I spend most of my time on micro.blog where I'm the community manager. And if anybody's interested in hearing more about that, I'd be happy to chat with you too.
Great. We're so glad you were able to join us. We're glad you're feeling better, and happy holidays.
Same to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, as if we didn't know.
There may have been some subtle clues throughout this show as to where someone could find me on Twitter. You can also go to takecontrolbooks.com where you'll see some books by me and a lot of books by other people. And that's where I'm kind of spending most of my time right now.
Great. And for the audio listeners, it's at Joe Kissell, as is scrolling across his badge, even as we speak. So, Mr. Gamet.
I'm easy to find. Like, if you Google me, you should be able to find me. But I'll make it easier. You can find me over at textexpander.com. Also on Twitter and Instagram and microblog, I am Jay Gamet. So I'm around. Come find me.
Great. Thank you. Happy holidays, Jeff.
Happy holidays, Chuck.
We'll do this again next year.
Awesome.
I hope.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Already. Yeah, we haven't even gotten past this holiday, and we're looking forward to the next one. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. As always, please check our show notes. We will have links to everything there. You can help support the show by using those links because we use an Amazon affiliate link whenever possible. But that doesn't restrict our picks in any way. You can also, though, find our picks in the Mac Voices Gift Guide Flipboard magazine for 2019. So if you're on Flipboard, just search for Mac Voices. You will find the gift guides of past years, but also this one as well, and it'll be updated along with the show so that you can look and browse easily that way too. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.